Hello, we are live. This is Live with Lula, and we're welcome to the show where like-minded people come together to chat about ideas, expand on our knowledge, and discuss common goals towards a good and truthful future. My guest tonight is Dave Moore. Hey, Dave.
Hi there.
How's it going?
It's going brilliant. It's going brilliant. Nice weather in St. Lucia. So yeah, everything's going great.
Well, thank you for being with me tonight and chatting about all this good, juicy stuff.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. So tell us about your YouTube channel so people know where to find you.
Okay, my channel is dmurphy25, and I've got a website which is currently offline at the moment, really. But if you sit through the animation, you'll get all the ways that you can contact me anyway.
Nice. And the topics of tonight are going to be alternative health, which I'm really passionate in as well. So I'm excited to learn as much as possible. I think that the learning is endless on that one, right?
Yeah, it never stops. Oh, I didn't actually give you the actual website, did I?
Tell us the website.
Yeah, it's www.allegedlydave.com.
Nice, easy. So on Allegedly Dave, I haven't been to your website. I didn't even know about your website until just now.
Yeah, it got hacked a little while back, and I've essentially lost everything. So it was kind of limping along for a while. So I've been working on it for a few months now, actually. But
That's unfortunate.
yeah.
Somebody got in there.
Yeah, somebody actually, it's weird. Somebody actually got in there and started hacking in the database, and also somebody tried to get into my bank account and
Oh my God.
take money. It's just fortunate I don't have any money, so they couldn't
There
get
you
anything.
go. They thought that they were going to get something, right?
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, let's just go right into start talking about good stuff. What you think?
Yeah, sure.
What's your most recent alternative health endeavor?
Oh, health endeavor. Wow. I haven't really done anything new for a long time. I've kind of put myself out as somebody who helps people for free. So that's pretty much all I've been doing for the last 4 years.
That's the best thing ever. Thank you.
Well, it's just with this knowledge, I mean, it's such important knowledge that it has to be shared, you know. It's
Yeah,
not my knowledge, you know. I don't have a copyright on it, so you know, it's got to be put out there for free for everybody.
that's really we need to do as much as possible to get away from money. I know it's so hard to do, but gosh, it's everywhere. But so that's good that we're giving out this free knowledge that's actually going to heal each other, and we
Well,
don't have to worry
part of
about
it is
money.
also part of it is also that there are so many people out there offering, you know, cures and pills and potions and stuff, and or you know, methodologies, and they've always seemed to got to you know, some product that they're pushing. So you know, I wanted to get away from that because you can't really tell if somebody's saying something because it really works or because they're going to make money out of it. You know,
Yeah, and
that's
a lot of like supplements and vitamins and stuff are also, you know, could not be the best choice, and people think that it is just because it's vitamin.
Yeah, well, the methodology that I use when helping people is really based on the idea that the human body is perfect and it doesn't need anything external. You know, it manufactures everything internally. And you know, when you buy supplements, for instance, they're usually in a form that the body can't manage anyway. So
Say again, my dog
the
shook his collar. I couldn't hear the last part.
oh yeah, so these supplements, they're usually in a form that the body can't handle anyway.
Oh yeah, they're
So
synthetic.
They're synthetic and inorganic. So, the body doesn't know what to do with them most of the time. So they ended up getting deposited around the body, and they start causing their own problems long
I
term.
see. So you're saying, like, for example, which one do you think is like a big one that most people think is good and it's actually getting stuck in our bodies? Like,
Well, pretty much all minerals, all minerals, all mineral salts, all these things. Um, Again, it's like equating the calcium in your bones with chalk, blackboard chalk. It's
mm-hmm.
not the same stuff. Your bones are made up of, living minerals, organic living minerals. Yeah, chalk is essentially, rock, dirt, rock and dirt. You know,
Mm.
so it's not the same thing. You can also see it in those cereals that are fortified with iron.
Oh, the
Like
cereals with the added stuff, the iron.
yes, fortified with iron. Cornflakes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell what sort of iron they're fortified with by getting a strong magnet, dropping a cornflake in some water, and then you can drag that cornflake around.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I remember seeing that. They're yeah,
yeah, it's
tricky stuff. And they also put paint
I'm
thinner, like paint thinner in there.
yeah, they put all sorts of stuff in there, and but the fortification is with inorganic iron. Yeah,
Okay. So
it's not.
I know that blackstrap molasses is a really good source of iron. That's good, right?
I guess so, but again, your body doesn't need it. It doesn't need it for externally. Yeah, your
Just
body manufactures it all.
what about the like losing blood like women do, monthly?
But you manufacture more.
Okay.
You know,
That's this is awesome.
but this is the point. We intuitively know that our bodies do this.
Okay.
Yeah, we know. Our bodies are designed to heal themselves. Um, you cut yourself. What's the first thing it does? It seals it up and then rebuilds itself. Yeah,
Yeah.
we know this. It's just that we've been brainwashed into believing that our bodies are imperfect, weak, unable to do anything, and it needs these white coated, deities to come along and save us.
Yeah.
It's not.
Everything
It's not true.
we're brainwashed that everything's wrong with our bodies.
Yeah, it's not true. The human body is perfect. Yeah, it's just struggling to deal with the problems that we put it.
That we're
We give.
surrounded by. Yeah.
Yeah, and literally we're under such amazingly huge toxic load. Everything that we come into contact with in this society is poisoning us in some way or fashion. You know,
Yeah. Talk about
um,
EMFs and just food.
EMFs, the clothes you're wearing, they're soaked in chemicals.
Ugh.
You lie on,
And our
on
skin, the skin is the largest organ, soaking in everything.
exactly. You lie on your pillow at night. It's been soaked in flame retardant chemicals. Just in case.
What kind of pillow you sleep on, Dave?
Well, no, they are. I mean, most of them are soaked in these flame retardant chemicals,
Yeah, the mattresses
just
are
in case
for
your
sure.
your pillow bursts into flames during the night.
Yeah.
But they're toxic, and they seep into our skin. The air's poison, the water's poison, most foods we eat are poisoned.
And so
It's
our
I know,
bodies like get rid of poisons and toxins. So that's the good news.
yes, but it's struggling under the actual load that we put it under. And then you factor in our habits, yeah, whether it's smoking or drinking or I don't know, drugs or whatever. Our habits add to it, and well, at some point that load gets to be so much that it starts complaining, and symptoms are the body's way of complaining to us. Well,
Yeah.
not so much complaining, but saying, "Look, I'm dealing with something. Yeah, leave me alone. Leave that bit alone. because I'm dealing with it.
That's a good one. I like that. Okay. Instead of give it attention, you're just get I've heard before it's called compassion toward it. Kind of like I hear you, I'm there for you, you know.
Pretty much. It's just that we misinterpret these messages. Our body's always talking to us. Yeah, but again, we've been brainwashed into believing that the message it is trying to give us is the wrong message. Yeah, we're it's like you feel sick. Okay, you start feeling. Is he all right?
He's showing off. He knows the camera's on.
Uh,
It's his collar. Come here. That's your smell, Jimmy. This is my best friend.
yeah, you're feeling sick. Okay, and intuitively you don't want to eat. Yeah, you feel like no, I don't feel like eating. Yeah, but
And
then,
don't.
sorry.
Like if you don't feel like eating, don't.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is, our society basically tells us, well, you've got to keep your strength up, and your well-meaning mother gives you chicken soup to eat, and also we've been programmed since children that if you're feeling poorly, you get sweets or you get something nice or you get, it's
Yeah, that's right. You
we
get the
do the wrong
poisonous
thing.
sugar if you're good.
Yeah, So
Okay.
rather than do what we intuitively feel like, and that is not eat, we
That's
end
what I
up
feel like
eating.
right now. I'll tell you what, I'm not. I made dinner and I'm just like, I don't feel really like eating right now. And I just put it down and
Well, you
that's
know
it.
what? You get onto urine therapy, and you'll find that appetite, that you used to have, just ease away.
Yeah,
So get to a point where one small meal a day of fruit is all you need.
that's awesome. But I don't know about me particularly because I'm breastfeeding, so I'm super hungry.
Well, there are a lot of factors there that make you believe you're hungry,
Yeah, yeah.
but in actual fact, you're not. You know, Hunger is an illusion. We've never ever experienced real hunger, um, because it's not this gnawing, horrible feeling in the pit of your stomach. It's apparently a different sensation altogether.
Hunger?
Yeah.
What do you
Um,
mean?
well, I say we equate this gnawing feeling in our stomach
Oh, I see
as
what you're saying.
hunger, but it's not real. That's not hunger. It's literally
Whoa.
sometimes it's our bodies are really really clever, and it's got its own internal timer in it. So if you're used to, say, having your dinner at 12 noon, at 11:45 stomach is now getting ready for this meal that it knows it's coming at knows
The
it's coming at 12
toxins that it
o'clock.
has to like get rid of.
Well, it's not so much the toxins. It's more that when you eat food, you're the only thing that your body wants to do once you've eaten it is get rid of it. So it's getting ready to receive all this food so it can break it down and push it out of you. Um, so if you don't eat at 12 o'clock, then you've got all these acids and juices and stuff going, sitting there with nothing to do.
Okay.
And
And then they do,
you
what do
start
they
feeling,
do? What's the acids and juices like role if we aren't supposed to be putting food in there to get simmered?
well, what does it do if it doesn't get any food?
Yeah.
Well, it literally sits there and bubbles and wait. It's like that the sort of those noises your stomach makes when you're not, you think you're hungry and you're waiting to eat. So it's making all these bubbling sounds, and it's because it's getting ready for this food.
I used to say the feeling of hunger is the feeling of getting skinny.
Yeah. Well, one of the things you can do when you think you're hungry is go drink some water.
That's what I was just about to say. I heard
Oh,
something
okay.
back in the day like 70% of the time humans mistake hunger for thirst, and you're actually thirsty.
Mm,
What do you think
right.
about drinks like kombucha and things like that?
You know what? I've never really got into understanding what kombucha is. You know, I'm of the mind that distilled water, pure water, is enough. You know,
Yeah.
you don't need any more than that. You don't need to flavor your water. You don't need make it acid or make it sweet or whatever. Water is great, especially when you get into distilled water, right? It's not as heavy as tap water or bottled water. You notice the difference when you're drinking distilled water. It's almost like light and fluffy when it goes down, and literally you can drink loads of it without feeling that sort of full heaviness thing. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Where do you get your distilled water? Do you have a distiller?
Yeah.
Nice.
I bought
Yeah,
this
Flat
distilled
Earth
water.
Vegans loves distilled water. She always talks about it. Lots of people are promoters of distilled water. What about the myth that it's pulling minerals out of your body or whatever? Remember that?
Well, that's a kind of half truth because uh, water, distilled water does leach minerals out of your body, yeah, but it leaches the inorganic minerals out of the body, not the organic ones which your body is made up of, yeah. Um, and again, we know this intuitively because we wash our clothes with water, yeah, and the inorganic minerals, rock and dirt, comes out of the clothes and stays in the water. Yeah, but it doesn't touch anything organic. So grass stains, blood stains, sweat stains, they stay in the clothes until you put some kind of detergent agent to break them down. So now the water can grab hold of them.
Okay.
Yeah. The same thing happens in the human body. Yeah. It literally, the distilled water grabs onto inorganic minerals and washes them out of the body. So yeah,
And
it does
that's
leach
good.
minerals. Yes, it's great, because arthritis is essentially these inorganic minerals collecting in between the joints, and literally turning your hands and joints to stone. Yeah. Um, Kidney stones, inorganic minerals. Glaucoma, same thing. Heart disease and strokes. That's the inorganic minerals collecting in your the arteries. Yeah. So literally, just drinking distilled water will get rid of a whole load of problems just
So
by
it
drinking
seems
water.
like my well water might be too mineralized.
Well, you can go and get yourself a thing called a TDS meter. It's total dissolved solids, and test it. It's literally a little device. Costs about I don't know, for you it costs about 20 bucks. Um, and you dip it in, and it will tell you how much stuff is dissolved in the water. In parts per million.
Okay. So it'll just say stuff. You don't know what it is.
No, I'll give you a number. The worst water I've come across was in North London, and it came out at 650 parts per million of stuff in the water. Yeah. And if you get a distiller, you'll see what the stuff is because um, a distiller literally boils the water, turns it to steam, and then recondenses the steam back into water. So it leaves all the stuff, in the water in the bottom of the distiller.
Wow.
So if you don't clean your distiller for a while, and you just keep an eye on what's collecting at the bottom, that's the stuff that you'd be putting into your body, and your body would have a hard time getting rid of.
Cool. So distilled water pulls out all this yucky stuff.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
that's the that's the main thing that you suggest people do is get on distilled water.
No, when I help people, there's like four things that I
Four
get people
things.
to do.
Okay, distilled water.
Yeah, right.
Write this down.
Well, the first one would. the first one would be comes under the banner of stop poisoning yourself. Okay, so let's change your diet. And I usually put people on a mostly fruit or juicy fruit diet. Okay, with the sort of avoiding all the heavy pulpy type fruits unless they're very
Like,
juicy. I don't know. I'm not prepared here,
what's okay?
um, but banana is
Like,
pulpy.
what's
It's
some
not,
fruits that that are no good? Let's like just go over things that people should kind of like avoid.
well, you can't really go too wrong with fruit anyway. But
Okay,
I just
berries are
say
good.
but berries are good. I'm saying that keep it on the juicy side. So citrus fruits, watermelon, pears, the ones that hold lots of water
Okay,
essentially.
like cucumber.
Yeah. So
That's a
if you
vegetable.
need a bit of, yes, a vegetable. I was coming to that. If you need a bit
Okay.
of variety, then you can have the occasional light leafy green salad. Again, going for the juicy vegetables like tomato, cucumber, so on, so on. Yeah, just make it an occasional light leafy green salad because it should be mainly fruit.
I hear
So
when
again,
people try
that
to go,
comes.
I'm sorry.
Okay, carry on.
I hear that when people try to go on the fruitarian diet that they get super hungry. So that probably getting the message, right? Or something like that. They're getting the message more that their body is maybe getting rid of the chemicals or something.
Right. Well, as I said, this is only one part of the four parts that I was talking about. One of them is urine therapy, and we'll get
Yep.
into that a bit more.
UT.
If you're on urine therapy as well, as I said, your diet, your appetite just plummets, and you don't feel that hunger.
And you got the energy. The
Um,
energy doesn't drop, right?
you get the energy right, levels rising through the roof. Um, and
That's
so
awesome.
So yeah, it all works together. So first one, stop poisoning yourself. Um, the second one is fasting to give you energy.
I love
So
fasting.
yeah, so do I. So I start people off 2 days out of the week. You choose 2 days, like a Monday and a Thursday, and you don't eat on those days. You only drink, distilled water and urine on those 2 days. And depending on what sort of plan I put people on, we might sort of raise that up to, or near the end, we go to looping for a week, or we might even go to a full
Hey, I lost your audio.
14. Oh, you hear me now? Or?
It was kind of delayed. I missed everything you said after step it up for people or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, so yeah, 2 days a week to start with, and depending on what sort of program I want to put them on, um, they might end up doing a week of looping, which is no food or no food, just water and drinking all the urine that you produce,
Okay.
which sometimes can be a hard process for people because you end up going like every 15 minutes or so.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I went through that with
Um,
pregnancy. It is hard going every 15 minutes.
yeah.
Can't imagine taking it back down.
Well, it's not as bad as you might imagine,
Yeah,
actually.
right? I hear that's the biggest brainwash part of it is just
Yeah. The whole thing is not as bad as you think of it. Um, we've all been brainwashed again, as you said. Is we've all been sort of programmed to believe it's horrible and everything. But you know, um, when people say, I can't drink urine, it's horrible. I just say, look, it's good for you. It can never be bad for you. Just drink it. Stop being a pussy.
wow.
You know.
So Um,
So
and I was going to say that it's going to be the more dirty your body is, the worse it is to drink the urine, right? Because when you get clean, it's like much better.
yeah, it is kind of like that. Your urine is basically a snapshot of how your body is at any particular moment. So if your diet is pretty bad, then yeah, it's not going to be that good. But once you start cleaning up, um, sometimes if you're really on it, then your urine tastes of coconut water. I mean, delicious coconut water.
Wow, that's amazing sounding. And how long was
Yes.
that process to get to the
Um,
coconut water level of?
I cannot I cannot tell you because everybody's different. Everybody's
Okay,
individual.
okay.
Um, but what happens when you start urine is that you get to know the taste of your urine. You get to expect what it's going to taste like. And when you eat something that your body doesn't like, you're going to taste it in your urine. And if it's that bad, you're going to go, "Oh, I know what that is. That was that was the beer I drank, a
So do you
couple of
think
hours ago."
people should clean up first so that they're less grossed out when they taste their urine?
No, no,
Okay.
you
So it's
you.
good for you either way.
It's good for you all at all times. Yeah, it's not waste. It's literally the excess of all the good stuff in your blood. Yeah. Um, what happens? Excuse me. What happens is the blood goes to your liver, and your liver cleans up the blood of anything that shouldn't be in there. Yeah,
Hmm.
all the viruses and pathogens and waste and toxins, whatever, gets filtered out by the liver, and then the purified blood goes off to the kidneys, and your kidneys are there to keep your blood in balance. So if you've got too much water, the excess water in the blood gets siphoned off and sent to the bladder. Excess vitamin C, and we know if you have too much vitamin C, it doesn't help you because you weed the rest of it out. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the process. The excess vitamin C that the body can't use goes off to the bladder. It goes the same with everything that's in your blood. Yeah, the excess of all the good stuff goes off to the bladder, and while it's in there, your body realizes that it will need some of that stuff going forward, so it will reabsorb some of that good stuff from the bladder. Yeah,
Is it
which
in a
is
different, is the like not toxins, the like vitamin C that comes out in your urine the same form that when you took it in there?
well, yes, if it's good vitamin C,
Okay, yeah,
then
yeah.
yes. If you have an excess of it, the excess will come out in your urine.
Okay.
Um, so it can never harm you. It can never be bad for you. Yeah. It's just a reflection of what's going on in your body, at that moment.
So what is up with all the rumors that it's like waste and you're drinking toxic waste?
Well, if everybody knew that they can keep themselves healthy and heal themselves of pretty much everything with their own urine, there would be no medical establishment.
So
There'd
it's
be
a
no
complete,
pharmaceutical industry.
and it's just such a brainwash to keep people sick like everything else is.
Absolutely. They've already told us that, there's too many of us here. And, the elite of this world
Yeah.
they say time and time again, there's too many of us here. We've got to reduce the population. Yeah. So in the less developed countries, they use war and disease. And in the more affluent countries, they use healthcare. Just listen to what what's his name, Bill Gates says about vaccines. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right. He says if we do a really good job with vaccines, we can reduce the population by, well, listen to what he's actually saying.
He's crazy.
Mm.
He's People shouldn't be allowed to get that rich. Anyways, let me check in with the
Well,
comments just because people are being so sweet over here. Flat Earth Vegan says distilled water is negatively charged. Did you know that?
Yes, yes, I did. And all the inorganic minerals are positively charged. That's why they get
So,
pulled into the water.
oh, so the negative charge is like the earth, right? That's the grounding thing.
Yeah, I don't know the actual which way round, but the point, all I know is that the water is the opposite charge to the inorganic minerals, the same charge as the organic minerals. So that's
Okay, so
why,
the
you
organic
know,
ones are the ones that get stuck. I'm sorry, the inorganic ones are the ones that get stuck.
get pulled into the water. Yes.
That's crazy. Okay. Stephen Crumley says, "Hey, Dave," and that,
Hey, Stephen.
yeah, and that you are one of the guys responsible for his awakening, and thank you so much for opening his eyes for the first time. So that's really nice.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Someone asked about grapes.
They're lovely.
I like them too. Cool. Um,
The only thing about grapes is um, they absorb all the pesticides and stuff. And it's not just the pesticides on the surface. Yeah, they depending on where you get them from. Yeah, if they water them with fluoridated water and pesticides, then the pesticides are actually in the uh, the grape. So you can't. There's no amount of washing you can do to get rid of it.
yeah,
So that's the only thing.
that's probably the same with every fruit, right? Because they're just using water to create their fruit.
Pretty much, it's more sort of in grapes because it's like a so well established industry. Yeah, and it's not like Joe Smith is growing them in the back garden. Yeah, it's like huge corporations making, growing these like vineyards and stuff. Um, you know, I I was in Turkey and looking at the fruit on offer there, and most of them come from people growing them in their back gardens and stuff.
Mm.
Um, so
Well, we also the rain coming down is probably poisonous, right?
well, yeah, that's the thing. The rain is no longer as pure as it used to be because the layer of pollution in the air makes the clouds form lower down in the atmosphere. So the clouds form around the pollution. Yeah, because for clouds to form, they need a nucleus, something to condense around. And they used to condense higher up in the atmosphere, but now that there's this pollution around, it condenses lower um, around the pollution, and therefore it doesn't get the hydrogen peroxide that used to be in sort of higher amounts in the rainwater because there was the ozone layer higher up in the atmosphere. So you get kind of double whammy there that it's got pollution in it and it doesn't have any hydrogen peroxide in it.
Wow. I heard about, I have a fish tank, so I heard about adding just a little, very small amount of hydrogen peroxide to your water to fix some sort of ailment. And I was like, that's weird. But that makes sense now you said that.
It cleans. I mean, it's hydrogen peroxide is essentially water with one extra oxygen um, atom.
Mm.
So it's like packed with oxygen.
Super water.
So yeah, super water. It's like uh, I think one pint of 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide has 9 pints of oxygen in it.
Okay. Wow.
So literally, you can clean that fish tank or clean anything with a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. It's much better than chlorine, and it's safe. It's a wonder why they don't use hydrogen peroxide in water treatment plants, and they decide to use the poisonous chlorine instead. I wonder why that is. Mm.
I would just, I don't think I can move anywhere now with the, on the city water. Does distilled water just completely cure up any kind of water?
Sorry, does distilled water?
Does it cure up any kind of water, like No matter where you are, if you distill
Oh,
it, you're good.
yeah. You can take pond water, or scoop water out of a puddle, and distill it, and all the dirt, all the stuff that's in there will stay at the bottom of the distiller, and you'll get pure water at the other end.
Perfect. Yeah, because it
Yeah.
like evaporates it and then catches it and then goes back down.
Yes.
So what? Well, this is kind of related, but why would the rain be poisonous if it's like doing that same action?
Because I missed the one word. The rain. Did you say rainwater?
Yeah, like rainwater when the rain comes down and it's poisonous, like we're getting now. That's pretty much distilled water, right? Like,
Yes, sure. But it's, yeah, as you say, it's the same process. Like the sea evaporates and rises up, and then turns back into water. But as I said, nowadays, um, that process of condensing, it needs something to condense around. Um, so literally now it's condensing around pollution that's in the air. Um, Before
oh
it would
gosh, so
it
it's
would
picking up
raise.
this nasty stuff in the air.
Yes, and now there's so much more of that nasty stuff with all the chemtrails. Where our water is coming down sort of acidic and dirty essentially.
Chemtrails is just like that is not a myth or conspiracy, and that's like the easiest one to find out, and no one just it's so
Yeah,
upsetting.
just look up. There it is.
Yeah, and they spread out so wide, and it's just really creepy looking. And I mean, it tormented
Well, we know
chemtrails
they're
tormented
trying
me for
to.
like 5 years. For 5 years, I was just like sad every time I looked at the sky.
Oh, you were sad. I was angry.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
all of the emotions, all the negative ones. But you're in
mm,
St. Lucia, and you said that there's not many chemtrails.
there's not a single one. I've not seen. I've seen blue sky, real blue skies that I haven't seen for something like 20 years, I think.
Oh,
Um,
that's so wonderful. I love the Caribbean. How long are you staying?
oh, just to the end of the winter actually. So I'm going back in about March.
Nice.
Mm.
Oh,
And I know as soon as I get back into England, I get off the plane and my lungs hurt.
oh,
I can tell the quality of the air is super bad because my first few breaths on English soil, and I'm hurting. My lungs are hurting.
oh gosh. I live in the
Yeah.
country, so it's not so bad here. But yeah, I can't handle the big cities. People just get used to it. And then they're like, go to the doctor. They're like, I'm aching all over. Why? Well, you
Mm.
live in a huge city breathing all that stuff. But maybe you can live in
Well,
the city, like you said, drink the distilled water and the urine therapy and the other. I don't think we got to the other two. Fasting. What was the fourth one?
all right. Well, yeah, we didn't, didn't complete the
Yeah.
series.
Let's go.
So
Circle back.
yeah, so I said it's not poisoning yourself. It's fasting to give yourself energy. It's detoxing with distilled water and urine. And so we haven't gone fully into urine. But the fourth one, and quite an important one, is to change the way you think, because
Yay. I like that one.
because every so-called disease starts with a thought pattern. Um, and it doesn't matter if you get rid of the symptoms or the actual so-called disease. If you've still got the thought pattern, it's going to come back.
That's awesome. How do you do that?
Well, the
It's a
most
hard
most
question. That's
people.
a hard
Yeah,
question.
yeah, it is. Well, it's not really hard. It's a bit hard to describe really, but without going stepping backwards a bit. Um, the process is realizing that it's probably something that started in your childhood. some thought pattern that started in your childhood and is literally in the background all the time, putting you in a kind of chronic state of emotion. And there's a couple of processes I get people to do to try and work through it and negate it, so that you're not affecting yourself. For instance, I think without checking the book and stuff, I think it's grief. If you're suffering from grief, that tends to affect the lungs.
Oh, for
If you're
sure.
suffering from anger, it affects the liver.
Hey, tell us your book. Show us your book. You didn't show it at the beginning.
It's the Human Body Owners Workshop Manual, and it's not just about how to heal yourself. It's about literally how this amazing human body works, and how to get it to work at its best.
And where can we get this book?
You can go to lulu.com.
Oh yeah, I got a book from there the other day. Let me type that in.
So go to lulu.com and type in the Human Body Owners Workshop Manual. Or if you're really sort of you really want to you can go to get it at Amazon, but they're evil. So
they're evil. More people need to know they're evil. I never order from them.
Yeah. So it's not just about healing. It's got like a whole reference area at the back with all sorts of different sort of elements that you sort of look it up and it'll tell you what to do to physically heal, what the thought pattern behind it is and how to reprogram that thought pattern.
That's a beautiful book too. I like how big it is.
Yeah, I wanted to make it like a car manual. I don't know if you got them. I don't know if you got them in America, but every car comes with a you can get a manual for it, and they're this size. In England, they're called the Haynes manual. And,
what are they standing on?
Sorry? Oh, yes.
Is that a globe?
Yes, it is. It's a globe. I wrote the book before I discovered the flat Earth.
No way.
Yes.
So this is a not an old book. I don't mean to be. I'm not trying to be rude, but this is an older book.
Yeah.
Wait, the flat Earth since when?
Well, I wrote the book. I finished writing the book. I think it was November of 2014.
Oh, okay, it's not that old.
No, sorry, 2013. No, sorry, yeah, it was 2014.
I'm like, what are they standing on, man? What is that?
I like to say, no, it's a flat Earth, but I've tilted it upwards. That's what it is.
They look like they're in space, though, right? They're not standing on that.
I know. But as I said, I only started seeing the flat Earth, or started researching flat Earth in the sort of August, September-ish. Yeah, August, September, October, that sort of area of 2014, I think it was. So I was really kind of still researching it when I had to suddenly, literally, what happened was the design I had for the cover was exactly like a Haynes manual.
Which one? Let's say again.
It was like a Haynes manual. That's the Haynes. Kind of. Yeah, so in England, that's the car manual that you get, sort of mostly get. It's called a Haynes manual. So it has a very distinctive cover design. So I basically copied the cover design, and that was what I was going to go with. But just before I published the book, I thought, well, I better check with Haynes, and they told me that they'd sue me if I used my design. So I had to come up with a design within like an afternoon.
Nice.
So literally, that's what I came up with, and the flat Earth wasn't really ingrained in my head at that time. So it's too late to change it. So
that's okay.
What can I do?
You know what was branded in your head, I guess? The globe.
The globe, yes, I know, but
That's okay.
yeah, and this is the thing, you're continually learning, and if I was to rewrite my book, there's a lot I'd probably change and adjust because I've learned a lot more since I wrote it.
I like to think about what that means for 5 years in the future. Like, oh my gosh, we're going to learn even so much more.
Well, this is the thing. 5 years in the future, I mean, nobody can imagine what that's going to be like because things are changing so rapidly right now.
You're right. You
There
can't
was
really, gosh, I'm a big future thinker. It's kind of a bad habit.
It's impossible to do now. A time when there are events happening, maybe once every month or two, even once every 3 months. There was some big event on, but now we're getting events happening every day. Maybe 3 times a day. You know, Notable events happening.
Wow.
It's getting crazy.
Man, that's crazy. I'm just thinking about everything we said. I'm kind of in the zone now. That's a lot of info, Dave. You're a smart guy.
I wouldn't. I'm just an ordinary bloke. It's just that seriously. I mean, I've just had some strange things happen to me, and I've been in a position where I can just go with them.
I have a crazy great idea that I was just thinking about, and I'm like, maybe should I say it or should I? Because if you say
Go
ideas, other
ahead.
people steal 'em, right? But whatever, it's free knowledge. I was thinking, okay, so my first episode was with Paulie Hart, and he did a little bit about how to write a book because he's written like 16 books. And then I had been wanting to write like maybe a children's book. And then today I had the thought, I was like, I should write a children's book on the human body, like your manual, but make it like fun and like colorful and show how things work and stuff.
All right. Well,
I mean, all
it's
these
good as long as
children's
you.
books are just so like bored, like nothing. You got to make it cool. The human body's awesome
Yeah, it's a good idea.
because the
As long as you
kids need to
can,
know about all this good stuff. That's what, you know?
as long as you can deprogram them from what they're actually learning in school, and that's a tall order.
Yeah, don't, I'm not going to send my children to school, but
Mm.
what are you going to do about other people? That's kind of like they're stuck in that. They got to go to work and all that stuff.
And don't get caught in a vaccine thing either.
Oh no. So many
Um,
people do.
actually, in the book, I actually deal with vaccines, and because part of my journey was going through the free man movement, um, what I've actually included in the book is like letters. If you get coerced into taking the vaccine or getting your kids vaccinated, because they will bully you, they will
Yeah, they
threaten you,
will.
they'll try and coerce you in some way. Yeah, if you face that situation, then all you do is send them these letters. Yeah, and essentially, it's the first letter is saying, "I'm happy to accept the vaccine, for my child. Yeah, I'm really happy to do that, as long as you provide me with this information.
Okay.
Double-blind studies that prove that vaccines are effective. All sorts of questions like that, which
Okay. So
the
you're asking for the proof that this is good for you.
exactly, which when you look into it, there is absolutely no proof that vaccines work, that the
None.
methodology works, or any of it works, or any of it has ever been effective. There's no proof whatsoever, so they cannot answer the questions. And at the end of the letter, you say, um, you know, please respond within 7 days. But if you don't respond, then I'm going to deem that you believe that the vaccine is not safe.
Cool.
And then you follow it up, or you add as well this liability statement, which basically says, I, Dr. So and so, I've thoroughly examined the patient, and I therefore accept full responsibility for any damage that occurs as a result of this vaccine.
What's the point of that
And
letter?
sorry.
What's the point of having that letter?
Well, it's literally saying, making the doctor take full liability for his actions, which they do not want to do.
No. So that one's for if you choose to vaccinate, you're saying?
No, no, you send both these letters to the doctor, or
Okay.
whoever's trying to make you take this vaccine, and you say, well, what you're basically doing is putting the liability on them or the onus on them to prove what they're trying to do.
Wow. So
Um,
when you go to the doctor, don't you sign all those papers at the beginning saying they're like, I don't know what they say. I never read them. I guess I should, but you
well,
sure
you
do sign a
should.
bunch of stuff.
If anybody, I mean, this is good advice for anything you have to do. Yeah, if anybody presents you with something you have to sign, yeah, don't just sign it. Yeah, take it home and actually read it. Yeah, you'll find most times you'll find that there's stuff in there that you don't want to agree to. And
Wow.
and the point about signing a contract, which is what you're actually doing, every time you sign something, you're signing a contract. The point about a contract is that you are free to strike out anything that you don't like about that contract. You're,
Oh,
you're also free to write in anything you do want in that contract. Yeah?
interesting.
So they kind of expect you to just, glance over it and sign it. But if you take it home, read it thoroughly, strike out the things you don't like, add a few things you do like, and give it back to them, well, similarly, they don't check either. Now you've got a contract that you've signed that both of you have to abide by. So
Interesting.
when I opened my bank account, when I got back to England, um, they gave me a contract to sign, and literally I took it home, read through it. I struck out a few of these bullshit charges that they put in and things, and I wrote in a couple of things that I thought I'd like in this contract, and I gave it back to them, and they opened the account for me. They didn't even look at it. So if any of those bullshit charges get applied to me, I can go back and say, excuse me, take these off because that's not part of the contract I signed.
Wow.
They'll complain, and we'll be forced to go back and have a look at the contract. And sure enough, it will say there that it's not part of the contract. You can do that to any contract you're asked to sign.
I'm gonna have to go through everything in my life and redo everything in order to get this all set straight.
As I said, we've been brainwashed into believing, a whole load of stuff that isn't true. And one of those things is that you've got no power whatsoever. When somebody presents you with a contract, the only power you've got concerning it is to sign it, and that's it. Yeah, that's not true.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm feeling like remembering everything I've ever signed. Oh my gosh, how many times have I written my name? Like
Yeah, well, actually, signing was one of the things that really got me into the free man movement because um, I was looking at how our name and our signature is being used, and I don't know if you've got any checks anymore. A checkbook.
yeah.
Okay, get a magnifying glass
Oh
and
yeah,
look.
under the signature line. Is that what you're gonna say?
Signature line. Yes,
It
it's
says
not a
something like,
line. You
"This
know
is
that
your soul you're signing away to the devil."
it's the signature line is literally the words authorized signatory written, in micro print, so it looks like a line.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're not signing as you're signing as the authorized signatory of a corporation that's in your name, and they're trying to hide that. That's why they're doing all these sneaky tricks.
You mean the birth certificate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's a whole other bag of worms. Is that what they say? Jeez.
Yeah, a can of worms.
So when you sign the birth certificate as the parent, I wonder if that, I don't think that little line was anything weird.
Now, when you sign the birth certificate for your child, you it actually says it on the on the thing that you sign. It says informant. You become an informant on your child. You're essentially handing over that child to the state. That's what the word register means. It means to hand over title ownership to whoever you're registering with. Yeah. So you just think of all the things that you've registered in your time,
Oh
right?
yeah, everything
And
that you register, the government can come and take away from you.
that's it, because you've handed ownership over to the government.
So I mean, but it's just like, does your signature even really real? Like, what is, if you're signing this thing and it's your straw man, what does it even mean? How are they even able to come and take your car or child or whatever, like
Because you're voluntarily giving it to them.
by
That's
writing your
that's
name
the
on a
power
piece
of
of
your
paper?
signature. That's the power of your signature. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's in the past, like
What do you mean?
just spiritually, I guess, just because you signed something in the past and wrote your name down does not give the right to somebody in the future to come and grab whatever they want from you, right? I mean that's the rule
Um,
that they made.
no, it is true. I mean, it is right. I mean, it's if like you know, you me and you make an agreement that after a year, that your dog is mine. Yeah, we make an agreement, and
Okay.
you sign it. Yeah. Um, so I now have the power because you signed dog over to me, a year ago. Now, like a year later, I can come round and say, right, give me the dog. I've got this. Yeah, it tells me that we've made an agreement and the dog is mine.
Yeah, but it's just a sheet of paper.
But it's your the word signature means sign of nature. It's your sign that you've pledged. It's your promise. Yeah, it's your word.
Like your
Yeah?
symbol or something.
Well, it's your word. It represents your. It's called the manifestation of intent. Yeah,
Okay.
you've said, and we've agreed. Yeah, we've made a contract sealed with your signature that you've agreed to hand over the dog after a year. Yeah, and you can't break that.
What if you don't identify as that person anymore?
Well, it's too bad. I mean, but an agreement is an agreement. A contract is a
Oh
contract,
gosh, I'm in
and
so
that's
many agreements. I'm just imagining them all right now.
and
Jeez.
that's how they've got us. Yeah, they've got us making contracts without knowing that we're making contracts. An example is a driving license. Yeah,
Oh yeah, totally not needed, right?
right. It's not needed, but here's the thing: when you take your test and you pass your test, you get your driving license. And the first thing you've got to do when you get your driving license is sign it. Yeah. What other certificate of competency do you have to sign? Yeah. Normally it's the person testing you, yeah, who signs to say that you're competent in whatever
Okay.
it is. Yeah. You don't have to sign it. You don't your degree certificate, yeah, you don't sign that. Somebody else signs it to say you got the good degree. Yeah. So why is it that when you pass your test, you sign the driving license? Yeah. It's because it's a contract. It's a contract that says you waive your natural right to travel for the benefit of being something called a driver, which doesn't mean what you think it means. So that's a hidden contract that you sign blindly, and you give away some of your rights, yeah, without knowing it.
Hmm.
Does that make any
Wow.
sense?
So what do you do now when you want to go get your license? Do you not sign it, or do you scratch it all out?
Well, there are ways of signing things without giving away your rights. You can. It's been a while since I've
I heard under
looked at this. Yeah, there's a word in Latin called vi coactus. You can put that there. VI or no, VC. That's it, VC, and that stands for via coactus, and that means under duress. You can put 3 dots before and 3 dots afterwards. That means it's a continuing statement, so it's not the end. You can also put, and this is what I used to put as part of my signature. Now it's gone out of my head. It means all rights. I reserve all rights. Oh, without prejudice. That's the word. Yeah, without prejudice, which means I reserve all my rights. And there's a whole other spiel that I've forgotten now. But it just means you're reserving your rights. So you're signing without giving away your rights.
Wow. This kind of ties into language.
Mm-hmm.
What do
It
you
does. Because the tie-in is because the language of the law is something called legalese, and it's a sneaky language because it looks like English, sounds like English, but what they've done is they've redefined the words so that when you're speaking in a legal capacity, you're not saying what you think you're saying. So whenever you come into contact with a policeman or a judge, or a lawyer, yeah, when you say something, you think you're saying one thing, but legally you're saying something completely different.
And they know that language and we don't. Or
Yeah,
they're trained, the lawyers and stuff are trained in that legalese language, and then they bring the common folk in there and they don't really know what they're saying back and agreeing to.
exactly. The one that most people know by now is that when a policeman stops you and says, "I'm charging you for speeding, do you understand?" Yeah. If you say yes, well, when he says, "Do you understand?" He's talking in a legal context. So the word "understand" legally means, do you consent to? Do you agree to be bound by? Yeah.
Oh.
So you say yes, thinking you're saying yes, I comprehend the words that are coming out of your mouth, but instead you're consenting to the law and agreeing with it. So now it becomes law because statutes,
so tricky.
acts. It is. It's all tricky. Now, statutes and acts only have the force of law by your consent. So if you consent to it, now it becomes law. But until then, it's not law. Yeah, you have to consent to it. So they use all sorts of tricks, word magic tricks, to get you to consent to it without you knowing.
And then they control us even more so than they already do.
Yep. And I kind of thought that that legalese and English were separate, and that's where the trickery lies, in the legalese. But the more I've looked into the English language, the more I find that the same thing that's happening in legalese is actually already embedded in English. So the point is, we say things thinking that we mean one thing, but we actually mean something completely different, usually the opposite. So give you a few examples, like the word cure. Yeah, you say you want to cure something. Well, it has an original meaning. Do you know what that is?
No.
Well, what do you do when you smoke meat?
Oh yeah, you I guess.
Cure it,
Yeah.
to preserve it.
Okay.
So when you say the word cure, you're actually saying the word preserve. So, when you're saying, I want to cure cancer, you're saying, I want to preserve cancer.
Ew.
That's the energy. Words have energy, words have power, words affect this world. Yeah. So you're saying the opposite to what you think you mean. So another word is like to suffer. When you say I'm suffering with cancer,
Okay.
the word suffer actually means to permit, to allow. Yeah. In the Bible, it says, "Do not suffer a witch to live. Do not permit a witch to live." Yeah. So when you're saying I'm suffering with cancer, what are you saying? I'm allowing cancer.
Okay. Cool. What are some good words that are the powerful ones?
Well, this is the thing. The English language is about disempowering you.
Oh
There
no.
aren't, there aren't many words that are actually empowering. You know, um, there's too many to even think about. The other thing about the English language is it's backwards. It's completely backwards. Um, I was looking into something called Paleo Hebrew, which is
Oh yeah, I remember seeing a post about that.
yeah. So I'm convinced that Paleo Hebrew was the original language of mankind. Yeah, the original language. There's nothing before it. It's the language that Adam would have communicated with the Most High with. Yeah, it's also the language of creation. And when you get into it, you'll see, not only see, you'll feel why that is. But Paleo Hebrew reads right to left, whereas we read in English left to right.
Dude, I've always thought right to left would make more sense,
Yeah, you
just
know,
naturally.
but that's why, that's because it does. You know, our subconscious reads right to left. Yeah. Um,
Interesting. Yeah, I'm just kind of like feeling it out. So, is
because
there any way we could like start speaking Paleo Hebrew to each other to in order to feel empowered, or how can we use this
it's it's
tools?
a it's a dead language. It's a
For
language that's
sure.
been intentionally killed. Yeah. Um, so that we don't use the power in the words. Do you know what the magic word is?
Say again.
The magic word. What's the magic word?
Is it yes?
No. There's a word that people use as the magic word.
I don't understand. Please?
No, abracadabra.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was thinking of like when you're like talking to kids and you're like, what's the
Oh yeah,
magic
yeah.
word? And they're like, please.
Well, did you know that abracadabra is actually a word that means something?
I bet it is.
It's Paleo Hebrew,
Is it? That's
and
cool.
it means now get this, it means I create that which I speak.
Okay, so here's a powerful word we all know and can use, right?
Yeah, um, and and this is the thing. Speaking Paleo Hebrew, as I said, it's I don't think we've got time to really go into it because it's such a really amazing language. Um, I don't understand it. I can't speak it properly or anything. But
Uh-huh.
when you know the rules and how it works, it's like a joyful thing because whereas in English you understand words up here, yeah, you understand words by remembering patterns and stuff, yeah. Paleo Hebrew works here. You feel the words, yeah.
Cool.
Um, a good example, right, is somebody posted a meme which had a whole load of emoticons or emojis or whatever, and you had to guess what the film was. Yeah.
Hmm.
So here's a difference of how it works. I'm going to describe a film to you using English, right? And you try and guess what that film is. You probably get it, but okay. Um, a mentally ill man on the autistic spectrum recounts his life and the events of his life, um, and the famous people he meets through his life.
Are you talking about Rain Man?
No,
Are you talking about
Okay,
before film?
let me yeah, okay. Let me
I'm
now
not good at this
what
kind of
happened
game.
what happened there is when I started describing the words in English, yeah, your mind was going through, yeah, interpreting the words up here and then trying to match them to, a whole list of film titles. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. If I started saying, okay, imagine emoticons in a row. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine it.
Okay. So there's a man running. Yeah. Uh, three trees, 3 or 4 trees. Um, there's a box of chocolates.
Yeah, Forrest Gump. Okay.
Forrest Gump. Can you see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
easy
gave
to
you, I
learn.
gave you a set. I gave you a set of pictures. Yeah. And it didn't come. You didn't have
Yeah,
a mental process.
yeah.
You felt what the film was from the
Well,
pictures.
when we think, we don't think in like lines of words on page. We think in like pictures and stuff. I mean, I assume most people, I think in pictures. I don't think in like
We,
when I read text, it's not like that.
you're right. We do think in pictures, but we've been brainwashed into thinking in words. Yeah, in English words that are going backwards. Yeah,
They're going
so that
backwards. So
which
it's
is
putting our
why
mind like in this backwards way of like our subconscious is or I don't know, going along the stream of life backwards so that we're confused or don't access the abracadabra, which and all this cool stuff.
we exactly we don't use the power of the words. It takes us years to think in this way. That's why we have a school system that's it's years in the making of trying to force our brains into this rewired state, yeah, of thinking in words, yeah. um so that's okay, because I said it's backwards. There's a
Mhm.
guy called there's a guy called David Oates, and it's quite funny because I usually have to be shown something about 3 times before I take it seriously.
Okay.
Um, Somehow I ended up on this guy's mailing list, and he used to send me emails about reverse speech, and I used to ignore them because I thought they must be some kind of demonic kind of
Okay.
practice, practice learning to speak backwards and that sort of thing. But these emails kept popping up every 5 minutes, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have a look and see what it's about. This is amazing. It turns out that when you reverse somebody's speech when they're talking, right? Um, what you get is you might get gibberish, 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 and then you will get a phrase in English that actually means what that person's really saying. So
Whoa. Not just like a word, one word that's backwards, it'll be like a whole phrase.
a whole phrase. So
Whoa.
you get a Trump speech, for instance, yeah, and he's saying one thing in his speech. You reverse it, and you'll get gibberish, 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 and he'll say what he really means.
Wow. Imagine
Yeah.
all the people out there watching him in backwards trying to hear all this cool stuff.
Well, this is the thing. Again, I told you that your subconscious actually works backwards. Yeah. So when you tell a lie, for instance, when you tell a lie, your whole body is trying to say, I'm lying. This is what I really mean. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's why you can use body language to figure out somebody's lying, because your body is betraying you. Body wants to tell the truth all the time. So your words might be lying, but your body is going to be telling the truth. So when you choose the words that you want to use to lie with, yeah, your subconscious steps in and uses the right words so that it can tell the truth backwards. Does that make
You
sense?
mean in the phrase that you'll be saying it when you play it
Yes.
backwards, you'll say the phrase or whatever
Yes, because
subconsciously because
again,
our subconscious is so smart and knows how to just
formulate
Yes,
that backwards phrase.
your mind works so quickly. Your subconscious is so amazing that, you know, literally you're saying something, you're telling a lie in, you know, in consciously you're telling a lie. You choose the words using your subconscious. The subconscious chooses the words you use and the way you say it, and the, you know, the way you pronounce the words and whatever, so that when you replay it in, you know, backwards, it's saying the truth.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna just go ahead and just hit you with this one. What about the way that the
Mhm.
Bible reads?
Well, the thing about the Bible is it's been translated into English, and you know, the original language was Paleo Hebrew, and you know, when they translate the Bible into English, it's like translating a concrete language, right? Paleo Hebrew is concrete. Yeah, can only mean one thing. Yeah, it's okay. Without giving a huge lesson in Paleo Hebrew, every letter has 8 different meanings. Yeah,
Cool.
every letter, and you don't choose the meaning that you like out of that list. You use every one of those meanings. Yeah, put every one of those meanings in, and see what that feels like, and it will suggest to you what that word means.
I
Yeah,
can't wait to research this.
yeah, it's amazing stuff. So when you make up a word with Paleo Hebrew with these letters, right, the word is the story that those letters make when you take all the meanings. Yeah, does that make sense?
Kind of. I'm thinking of like Chinese for some reason.
Well, Chinese is the same pictographical language.
Yeah.
Um, where you know, if you imagine sort of Jerusalem, where Paleo Hebrew, you know, that area where Paleo Hebrew was used, and you think of the Tower of Babel, where all the languages were confused. Yeah, when people spread out east of Jerusalem, they retained the pictographical nature of the languages, yeah, and the direction, yeah, the right to left direction.
Chinese
So
read right. I thought the Chinese read down.
yeah, they read right to left and up, from down to up.
Oh, weird.
Yes, yeah. So they all the languages east retain the pictographical. So Chinese, Japanese, Sanskrit, hieroglyphics, they're all pictographical. But if you go west of that area, it all the letters are symbolic. I mean, it means that letters don't actually mean anything; they're just shapes. Yeah, and they're not pictures; they're just shapes. So they're symbolic languages, not these pictographical ones. Yeah. So you can see that's why I believe that Paleo Hebrew was the first language, because you can see how it spread out from that area.
Mm.
So and now I've lost a train of thought I was on before.
Was it about the Bible?
Yeah, yeah. So what I was saying is that I was just going to give you an example of how the letters tell a story. Um, so look at the word for son, as in you know, male offspring. Okay, the letters in Paleo Hebrew are the letter what would be the letters B and N. Yeah. Um, so the letter B is a picture of a tent, the floor plan of a tent in Paleo Hebrew. Okay, and it means house, home, family, you know, that sort of thing. Okay, so you get the picture of house, home, family, what that means. The letter N is a picture of a seedling, yeah, a seedling with a sprout. It means continuation. It means bloodline, yeah, that sort of thing. So if you put them together, it mean the word for son, as in male offspring, is continuation of the family, which is what a son is, the
Okay.
continuation of that family name. Yeah. So can you see what I'm saying? It's like a descriptive language that you don't get here, you get here, because just like the emoticon language that I went through with you.
Is
Yeah,
emoticon the new Paleo Hebrew?
yeah, it's like the new Paleo Hebrew, but if you imagine that you get children and they understand what all the letters mean, you can do this with children. You put the letters together and show them, and they'll look at them for a second and get it. We
Yeah.
won't, because we have all this programming
Yeah.
that gets us thinking up here and
Year
not from here.
programming with papers and
Yeah.
words and papers and words.
Well, it's more like, as I said, with the emoticon thing. Yeah, with words, you have to be taught by rote. You have to, let's say the word river. Okay, moving body of water, river. Moving a body of water, river. Moving body of water, river. Right. Eventually, you'll go, oh, it's a moving body of water. That's a river.
Okay.
Right. It's a thought process of pattern matching. Yeah. But as I said, the emoticon language is, you look at the pictures, you get the feeling, and you know what it means.
There it is. So
Yes.
cool.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's cool. And when you get the whole story, it's like, it's joyous. You get excited about it. It's, yeah. Maybe it's just me.
I made a post like a couple days ago that was just emoticons or emojis. What are they called? So the same thing. What it was just like a bunch of police and then like some globes and then like vaccine. Like I tried to find a needle. I don't think there was a needle, like a vaccine needle, like lightning bolts, and then at the end it was like a bunch of skulls. So I was speaking in I think people understood it. Like you don't even have.
But that's it. But people would understand that. People would look at it and go, "Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's fine." Yeah.
Cool.
And that's what I'm trying to say is that's the difficulty about the Bible. The Bible was written in that concrete language, yeah, but then it's translated into this symbolic, abstract language that's not only abstract, but it's imprecise and it's ambiguous, and so that's why it's been these religions have been able to twist the Bible to suit the way they want it to, because it's been read in a language that allows that words to be twisted and words to mean several different things.
So is there a good version of the Bible to suggest for people to read?
Well, if you're really serious about studying, what it really means, I'd suggest getting the King James 1611 with the Apocrypha, which is 14 books that the other Bibles leave out, and get yourself a Hebrew lexicon. Right. Well, the Hebrew that these lexicons are written in, isn't actually Hebrew. What they call modern Hebrew isn't Hebrew. Yeah, it's Yiddish. Got nothing to do with Hebrew. It's there for deception. Yeah. But once you're armed with the rules of Paleo Hebrew, you can look at the Hebrew words and then decipher them, and then get the expanded meanings, and then understand. Yeah. So yeah. I'm sure we've gone on a lot longer than we expected
I
to.
love this. So the Hebrew is not related at all to the Paleo, or it is?
Yeah, the modern Hebrew isn't Hebrew. It's Yiddish, and it's there to deceive you from understanding or pronouncing the words correctly, because modern Hebrew adds vowels to the words, and Paleo Hebrew doesn't have any vowels in it. Every letter in Paleo Hebrew has an assumed R sound after it. Yeah. So Paleo Hebrew words sound like abba, ga, da, ra, pa, la. Yeah. They're all the letters. Yeah. So this fake Hebrew adds the sounds, e, u, o. There aren't those sounds in Paleo Hebrew. So now, if you read the Hebrew, the fake Hebrew, you're not going to pronounce the words properly. Yeah.
Trickery.
Yeah. So it's kind of tricky. So knowing the rules of Paleo Hebrew, you can look at a word in Hebrew, and if it's got like an oo sound in it, yeah, or an o sound in it, yeah, you can actually make up that sound with just the Paleo Hebrew letters. So like the word Joshua would be Yahawashua. Yeah. So I've just used just R sounds in there, but you can hear the O, the implied O, Yahawashua, Yahawashua, Yahawah. You know, you can almost hear the O, ooh, yeah, because yeah, if you say Yahawashua quickly and a few times, you hear the O, yeah, and you hear the oo sound as well. So it's not really there, but it kind of gives you the impression. So what they did was they created these vowel sounds and replaced them so that you wouldn't be able to pronounce the word properly.
Interesting.
So, and here's something else that is a bit controversial, and it's amazing.
Let's go.
Babies come into this world speaking Paleo Hebrew.
Did you say that to me?
I might have said that to you before, yeah.
Somebody said that. Somebody said, write down what your baby says because they
I did,
know
yes.
they know the creator language.
Yes.
So right now the baby is speaking the language like just at 3 months, or what they start to figure out at first?
Think about it, yeah. Imagine your baby coming out into the world, yeah, and it starts to make sounds, yeah. It starts going abba ra ka ba la, yeah, Paleo Hebrew, yeah.
He's like ooh ah oh.
Well, you know what? I would actually surmise that he's trying to speak your language now. Yeah?
Probably.
Because their first sounds, right, the first words that they speak without being taught these words, right, in pretty much every language, is mother and father, yeah, mum and dad. Mama and papa or dada or yeah.
Papa.
Right. Paleo Hebrew for father is abba. Yeah. Mother is amma.
Amma.
Yeah.
That is so sweet.
The point is that they know the words for mother and father in Paleo Hebrew.
What was Papa? What was father?
Abba.
ABA.
ABBA, yeah. Abba.
Oh.
So you can see how it's been sort of contracted down to Papa and Dada, and in most languages. Yeah, I think in Turkish it's Baba. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your baby speaks Paleo Hebrew. Yeah. It comes out and as soon as it's able to form words, it's speaking Paleo Hebrew. But then it realizes, it's like, hey mum, I'm here. And you go like, oh, oh, how sweet, and the baby's like, well, she can't speak the language. I'm going to have to learn her language.
Yeah. Oh.
And that's it. And this is that steep learning curve that baby now has to learn. Take years to learn how to speak, your language when it came in with a fully functional language of its own. Now, when I had this idea that maybe babies actually speak a language, all of a sudden information started coming to me, including an experiment that was done by a Scottish king in the 1500s. Yeah, and what he did was he marooned a woman who is deaf and dumb on an island with 2 newborn babies. Yeah, and he left them there for years. Yeah. And he came back after 15, 20 years or something like that, to find out if these two babies who were brought up in silence could speak a language. Now, the results of that experiment were lost. I think they were suppressed. Right? But the people in that area, right, all the people that lived in that area who knew about the experiment, they say that these two boys, right, could speak perfect Hebrew.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So it tells me that Paleo Hebrew. I mean, if you go back to the Bible, yeah, nobody, there's nobody talking about how they're teaching their children how to speak. In the early part of the Bible, no one's saying, "Oh, we learn how to do." The only learning of language comes when they get taken into captivity. They have to learn Babylonian or Assyrian or whatever.
What am I going to do for my baby, Dave? I want him to speak the ancient language, the original language.
Well, then you won't be able to speak with them then.
Well, I want him to like be supported in knowing it and being able to just not feel embarrassed to say these words. You know what I mean?
Well, this is a difficult thing because right now your baby is in this culture, yeah, and it's got to be able to figure out how to live in this culture, and really you don't know Paleo Hebrew, so you can't encourage and you can't reinforce anything with the baby. The only thing you can reinforce is the language that you know.
Oh, no.
So it's
I have this like plan as a mother that I'm going to they come out perfectly wise and perfectly knowledgeable, and all we do is brainwash them from when they come out. And I mean, I think about that often to try to just like observe him and what he's producing and not be like, you got to do this and this is this, but
well, I think the trick is to not treat your child like a little idiot.
Yeah, lying to him about stuff.
Well, not even that. It's not. When babies or even children do things, your immediate response, or most people's immediate response, is that they don't know what they're doing. They're not intelligent enough to know what they're doing. They don't know what they're saying. They don't know anything. Yeah, you're the one who knows things.
Yeah, no way. I don't think that at all.
Yeah, well, most people do. Most people.
Yeah, they do. Now I get that. Wow.
They treat their children like little idiots, and this is programmed into the culture because the two wisest people in this culture are both treated like idiots. New children and old people. Yeah, they're the two wisest groups of people in the culture, but they're ignored. There's that story about a truck or a bus getting wedged underneath a bridge. In England, a double-decker bus, tries to go under a low bridge, gets wedged under this bridge, and there's nothing that the driver can do to get this bus out of the bridge. Yeah, and all of a sudden, all these people, mill around, and they're giving all these suggestions, and nothing's working. And it comes down to this little boy walking past who goes, let the air out of the tires.
Oh yeah, I remember this story. That's a good one. The boy.
But that's the point.
The boy was the little wise one.
Yes, that's the thing, and we don't really give it much credence. The point is, a child will say things that the most profound things, yeah, and we laugh at it. We say, "Oh, that's cute," but we miss the point that the child is the wise one, yeah, and we're the stupid ones because we've been programmed out of that wisdom.
Cool.
Sorry, I didn't. You went quiet.
I said cool. Cool that they're like little wise, perfect little beings, and like it makes me feel good to be in the presence of that.
Yeah, well, I used to. I used to do experiments with my children. I used to do, not like that, but I used to do things like for my daughter, I put in her crib. I put like an in-crib music system. Yeah, it's CD player with two little speakers, and I'd play Mozart to her like 24 hours a day,
Oh.
and just to see if she'd be more intelligent. And I think she was, I think she was because of it. And I would listen to whatever she had to say. And if she asked me a question, doesn't matter, she asked me about sex when she was 2.
No way.
And so I sat her down and I told her everything about it, everything she needed to know. And yeah, she took it on board. It got me into trouble though, because she she actually told one of her friends, what she knew, because her friend was saying, this was later on, when they were about 11 or so. Her friend was saying something silly about sex, and so Jade sat her down and schooled her. And then I got a parent, on the phone, livid at me because, how dare, my child tell her, their child about sex. They didn't want them to know anything about it.
For sure, yeah.
So, yeah. But the point is, I didn't withhold anything from the children. If they asked, if they're old enough to ask me a question, then they're old enough to deserve an honest answer.
I agree. Well, Flat Earth Vegans wants to know what you think about law of attraction.
I absolutely believe that that's the case. What you put out there, comes back to you multiplied. I don't think it's in the same law of attraction as in The Secret, because The Secret's all about, really it all comes back down to, selfishness. Me. What can I get?
Yeah.
I don't think it works quite like that. Yeah, and that's why most people, try and use The Secret to get rich, and they never get rich. Yeah, because it's not about that. It's not. This idea of richness and wealth and that is an artificial construct, and it's not. It's not a natural process that the law of attraction really can get involved in, as it were. I'll give an example of how it does work. This has happened to me so many times since I've given up chasing money. The world works for me because I'm not doing anything for myself. I'm doing things to help people. So if I need to be somewhere to help somebody, then the world kind of arranges itself so that I can get there, despite the fact I've got no money.
So it's more like aligning yourself with fate or something. I don't know about the word fate. That sounds kind of hard.
An example would be that I was going to give a talk in a place that was about 300 miles away from where I live, and I had no money. I had half a tank of petrol in my van, and there's no way I was going to make it, up there. Yeah. And normally I would have just said, you know what, I can't make it, I'll cancel. But this time I said, you know what, I'm just going to go. I know I'm going to get there. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I know I'm going to get there. So I set off, knowing full well that I didn't have the ability to actually get there, but I knew I was going to do it. So I got sort of, maybe 50 or 60 miles down the road, and I get a phone call from my best friend. And, he's like, where are you? And it just so happens I was actually passing my old town. So I said, well, actually, I'm just passing Basildon. Mm. And he said, oh, stop in. I haven't seen you for a while. I said, well, I thought, I'm not really in a rush, so I'll go and stop and see him. So I went off course, went to his house, and he wasn't in. So I was sitting on his driveway, waiting for him. I was looking at my petrol gauge, going, "No, I'm not going to make that." And he came up and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I haven't got enough petrol, but you know what? I know I'm going to get there." Uh-huh. And without me saying anything else, he took out 100 quid £100, slapped it in front of me. I said, no, Dave, I don't need it. It's okay. I know I'm going to get there. I don't need it. And he said, when my mum died, you helped me out, and I haven't forgotten it. So I don't want this back. So I didn't know I was going to go to his house. I didn't
That's
know
so
he was going
nice
to
of
do
him.
this. But I ended up getting there and back with no trouble. Yeah.
Nice. So that is the law of attraction. Like, it's not
Yeah.
really
And
saying I want to get a brand new car, but kind of like going with the flow and knowing what
without
needs to
fear,
come, and it will come to you, and it does.
without going for it without fear. Yeah.
Okay,
Knowing
yeah.
that you're going to achieve whatever it is. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's it. And this is what I do now. I just I go with what's going. I just let myself go and do it without fear. So
That kind of goes along with what you said earlier about changing the way you think, and that disease starts with a thought pattern.
right. And the thing is that there is a natural way of doing things in this world, and that is the law of attraction. That is, you want to do something, you fixate on it, you get excited about it, yeah, you start moving towards it, and then you get like it's like slipping over on mud and then sliding down a hill and towards your goal, yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to take that first step into the mud before you slip over and get transported there, yeah. So yeah, it's getting excited and getting fixated and then start making the move towards it, and then you get caught up by it, and you before you know it, you're there. But
Wow.
what's happened is they've created this, the controllers have created this artificial construct around it and said, don't look here, look there. If you want to do something, don't just trust to this universe thing or the most high or whatever. Don't trust that. You have to, go to work, get money, save up, and then you might be able to do this and do that and jump through this hoop and get, fill in this red tape and this, and then you might be able to do it at the end of it. Yeah. So most people look there and they never look here.
Wow. You're smart, man. I like this. I'm feeling so inspired right now.
Yeah.
You have some advice for me? Just like me, of course you have some advice for me. I just focus too much on my body pains, and I think it keeps me in body pain. So with the way of changing your thinking, because I don't want to cause my body disease, but I think about disease too often. I think about oh, my belly hurts, So what do I do to get healthy? I mean, I can do the 4 things, but what's the thought process I can do to start
Like,
healing my body?
well, the first thing to realize about the body pains, yeah, is what they actually are. Yeah. The pains or the symptoms are actually your body's way of saying, look, I'm dealing with this.
Okay.
Okay. Leave me alone. Yeah. Let me get on with it. Yeah. So let's say you've got a pain in your elbow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's saying, okay, there's something going on in your elbow. I'm dealing with it. Yeah. Don't move me around so much. Let me get on with it. Yeah. That's what
Okay.
it's telling you. That's what it's telling you. It's not telling you that you've got to get rid of it. It's not telling you you've got to worry about it.
Yeah, because
It's
right now
telling
my
you,
shoulder hurts, and I'm I kind of rub on it, and then I'm thinking I'm rubbing on it. I'm probably giving it energy by rubbing on it, so it's hurting because it's thinking you know what I mean? I don't know.
yeah, it's not so much the energy. It's your thought patterns about your shoulder. Oh, it's hurting. Oh, this is horrible, and I've got to
Okay.
do something about it. It's that thought pattern.
Okay.
The problem with shoulder there. Shoulders means lack of support. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
They're
somewhere,
the pains are everywhere, so I got mental problems all over the place. But
right. Well,
I'm a
but
lot better than I was 4 or 5, 10 years ago. So
Okay, well, you know what? If you drop me an email and
Okay.
we'll talk about it, and I'll ask you some questions, and if you want, I'll write you a plan to follow
Oh,
for
you're so
3.
sweet. That would be really
Yeah,
helpful. I
and you
seek
just
out
follow.
time.
Sorry, say again.
I seek out ways to heal all the time, you know.
Right. Well, if you follow this, it's going to be like a 3 to 6 month plan. Then at the end of it, you'll be fine. You'll be more than fine,
That's
actually.
really exciting. I have to get some more water, so I'll be right back in like 2 seconds. But you can talk or be
Okay.
quiet.
I'll
Hey,
talk,
I can chime in on the what?
I could sing or I could dance. I
You
don't
do
know
a little
what.
jig. Let's see. What am I preaching? Oh, these people are there fighting in there. Blah blah blah. Try to be positive all the time. Go. That's what someone said. Someone, Flat Earth Vegan said, try to be positive all the time. What do you think about that?
Try to be, well, let's look at the words. The word try, for instance, yeah, that's one of the words you've got to really get out of your vocabulary. Yeah, to try is to not to do. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
wrote that in the comments. I wrote, she said that, and I said, try implies failure, do. Sorry, I gotta go get my water, but keep on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. But the wise green sock puppet actually says it best. Do or do not. There is no try. And that was horrible. I couldn't do that. I used to be able to do it really well. But there is no such thing as try. Just means put it off. You don't do it. So yeah, try to think positive. Well, again, thinking positive is a very kind of scattergun approach. It's not really doing very much. It's like a blanket solution where you want to be actually more targeted about your thinking. So what I do for people especially when they're depressed or something, um, is I get them to listen to their self-talk. Yeah, we all have this inner voice
Yeah.
that's constantly chattering, and most of it is going to be negative. Most of it is
Yes.
always is always going to be commenting negatively about what you're doing right now. Now, if you start to catch yourself listening, you start listening to yourself talk, you'll be able to catch these negative thoughts, right? And what you basically do is you counteract them with not as much positive thoughts, but with the opposite attitude to it. So an example would be if you are called up to do any public speaking, for instance, and
Uh-huh.
you absolutely hate public speaking. It's you feel embarrassed. It's all horrible. Yeah. Your self-talk will be something like, "Oh no, it's going to be terrible. I really suck at public speaking. I'm going to really embarrass myself. All this sort of thing." Yeah. You can counteract that by saying things like, last time I had to stand up in front of people, it wasn't as bad as the time before. Actually, I'm getting better at doing it. Every time I do this, I get better at it. Yeah. This time is going to be better than the last time. Yeah. And you start overwriting all those negative feelings with that sort of thought pattern. And yeah, you might not do a really great job of it. It's going to be bad, and your palms are going to start to sweat, and your face is going to start to sweat, and you're going to start shaking, and then you're going to start stuttering, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah, but as I said, if you start overwriting those thoughts with the opposite kind of viewpoint. Right?
Wow. Even if you don't feel it in the moment, you just do it anyways.
You don't have to feel it. Well, you know, it's better if you see the opposite viewpoint, yeah, and express it, right? Because you've got to believe it. You can't just say things, right? You've got to believe it,
Okay.
right? You've got to know that, you know, you've got to know that every time you do something, even if it's something you don't like to do, every time you do it, you get better at it, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Practicing.
It's a fact. Yeah, it's a fact. You can't get away from it.
Okay.
So if you believe what it is, right? If you find something you can say about it that you know is true, right? Then you start overwriting it. And I give an example of what happened to me. It's I've told this story a few times. But I was working in an eco village, and I got up, and we were a whole bunch of us were working in a kitchen, building this kitchen. I got up early, and I was the only one working in this kitchen first thing in the morning. An hour goes by, I'm still the only one in there, and I'm thinking, why am I the only bastard working? You know, where is everyone else? You know, and I'm not getting angry. You know, I heard this voice getting angry and angry, and like, I'm always the one who's left doing that. And then all of a sudden I think, hang on, why is that voice so angry?
Yeah.
You know? And then I realized that, hang on, if I'm here listening to that voice, then who's that voice? So I kind of settled back, and I'm still working, and I'm looking out the window. I can see everybody sitting there, and I can hear the voice going, "Oh, the lazy bastards! They're all over there, and I'm working my ass off, and it's always me." But I'm listening to this voice going, "That's not me. That's some angry, pissed off, sad child, moaning, And because I detached myself from this voice that previously I'd always thought was me, I didn't have the emotional response to it. I was just detached, listening to this voice. Now, normally, I would have thought that voice was me, right? And I would have started feeling the emotions that went along with the voice. And
is the body pain not you as well?
What do you mean by that?
Like the shoulder hurts, and you said you have to communicate with it to like do its thing or whatever. So it's like if your shoulder pain is hurting, you don't have to think like, what am I trying to say here? Like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I kind of get you. I think it's like, as I said, it's a symptom of something. Okay, it's not a bad thing. The shoulder pain isn't a bad thing.
Okay.
Yeah? It's telling you something. Yeah, it could be as simple as, you're sitting in a bad posture. Sit up straight. I didn't mean for you to sit up straight right there.
Oh no, I didn't even think I didn't even hear you say that, and I just sat up straight at the same time.
Well, no, I just gave you
heard. No, I
just give you a hypnotic command and you follow. So that's great. I'm gonna say, right, now stand up and dance like a chicken. Now, it could be a simple message of, you're in a bad posture, sit up straight, yeah, and that's you listening to your body. But if it's not that, if it's something that's been plaguing you, yeah, then it's likely to be linked to a thought pattern. And as I said, shoulders are usually lack of support.
So what do you do? Like I have support, so I mean, it's in my head.
But it might not be. It might not be right. It might not be right this second. It could be. It's something in your past. Yeah, that you feel that you don't have support.
Oh, I got what you're saying.
Now listening to your self-talk, what will happen is that you might actually end up finding a theme to your self-talk. Yeah. And by listening to that theme, right, you might actually be able to link it back to an event in your past.
Okay.
And then you can deal with it, because what normally happens is you experience something as a child with a child's mentality, And as you grow up, you forget what the actual event was, but you just remember the pain. You just remember the the feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to associate what the root of that feeling is.
And then
Yeah.
just addressing it by thinking about it.
You address it once you realize what it is. Then, but now you're able to see it from an adult point of view. Yeah. And you'll realize that actually, why am I hanging on to this? Because the event was so silly. I know it affected me, but I can see it now that it was so silly that I don't need to be hanging on to this anymore.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah, I'm like meditating over here on all this.
I thought I was just boring you to sleep.
No, I'm like thinking in my head what you're saying, like about what I'm just practicing right now.
Well, if your shoulders, if that is a pain that's been plaguing you for a long time, yeah. Again, listen to that self-talk, and maybe you'll find something that is related to feelings of not having enough support.
For sure.
Um,
Wow.
and then you might find that something in your current environment, if the shoulder pains have come on suddenly, something in your current environment is triggering the same feelings that you had when you were a child. And
Wow.
so that's why you're getting the pains.
Is that in your book, the different parts of the body related to like what you're saying?
Well, I kind of separated out into ailments
Okay.
because I could have made it very very a lot simpler and just talked about how to try and diagnose yourself. But I thought that most people prefer to go, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling these symptoms, and let me look it up, and just look at something directly related to them. So yeah, in the book it will be something like if you've got cancer, look it up. It says this is a thought pattern, this is how you deal with it on a physical level, and this is how you deal with it on an emotional level.
What did you say the lungs were?
That's grief, I think. Yeah.
Grief. Yeah, that's right. This is great. Thank you for this knowledge, This helps people get out of pain, great deal of pain that's totally unnecessary.
Well, one thing that's I find is totally unnecessary is depression. I've been able to help a lot of people with their depression as well, just by getting to change the way they look at things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a lot of depression is just being locked into a mode of thought where there doesn't seem to be a way out. You end up going in circles and there never seems to be a way out. But
Wow.
there always is if you just change the way you think.
Man, it's like constant work too, because once you're in that thought pattern that you've been in for however long the initial trauma happened, like it's going to take time and practice.
Not necessarily. Again,
Oh,
if you
really?
if you
Quick?
suddenly see something, if you suddenly see something, it can change things instantly. Yeah.
Cool.
Um, people think that they're when they're in a rut, there's no way out. There's nothing they can do to change their life. You know, but changing your life is as simple, yeah, as driving along the motorway, yeah, at 80 miles an hour. Changing your life is as simple as doing that with a steering wheel. Yeah?
Yeah, you're
You
right.
do that with a steering wheel, all of a sudden you're going to start meeting new and exciting people, doctors and
Yeah,
nurses,
that's cool.
and
That's a
have
good
new
analogy.
experiences. Just doing that changes your life. Well, it might end it, but it will certainly change your life. Yeah, I'm saying the point is that changing your life can be as simple as just seeing it, just things just slightly different. If you can do that, make that change and see just slightly different, then all of a sudden your viewpoint changes, and what you think you're stuck in no longer holds you.
Okay. Yeah, you're released from that grip just because you like steered away from it.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a bit of a dramatic example,
Yeah,
but
I like it though.
it still holds. You know, it's like going round and round a roundabout. You know, and you can't get off. But you know, all it takes is you doing that, and then you're off.
Okay.
And yeah, there was somebody who contacted me who was depressed, very depressed, and suicidal, and they phoned me up in tears, didn't know what to do, and I just gave them a couple of simple exercises to do, and one of them was to okay, when they make a decision, first of all, they've got to realise that they're making decisions about their life every moment of every day. Yeah, you just made the decision there to get up to do something. Yeah. People make decisions every moment, and you know the reason why you make the decisions that you make is because every time you approach a decision, you're going back in your memory and basically looking at what would I do. You know, you before you make a decision, you go back through your memories and go, what would Lula do at this point?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And those memories are essentially the specific set of memories that you've decided to hold on to, and the interpretation of that memory that you've decided to hold on to. Yeah. So whenever you have a decision to make, you go through these memories, these interpretations, and you decide, what would I do? And then you do that. And that means you end up doing the same things over and over and over again, and you can never see a way out because you can't make decisions that will get you out of that mindset. Yeah? Does that make any sense?
Sure. Yeah. It's
Right?
it's slave mentality, right?
Well, kind of. Okay, I'll give an example from my life. My mum used to make clothes for us, for you know, me and my brother and sisters. And one day she made a pair of jeans for me and my brother. Okay, so mum really makes good clothes, but she can be forgetful sometimes. So what she forgot was that that she tacked in the zip. She didn't
Okay.
sew the zip in properly, and she just tacked it in, and she forgot about it. So I took my brand new jeans onto to a trip to France, and halfway on the ferry, my zip burst open, and everybody started laughing, and you know, I started laughing. You know, I made a couple of jokes, and somebody found a safety pin, and you know, I sort of sealed it up, and that was it. End of story.
Mm.
Okay. My brother, who is a year younger than me, he took his new jeans on a trip to Wales, a school trip to Wales, and the same thing happened to him. And he counts that as the most embarrassing moment of his life.
Oh wow.
So pretty much the same person. Yeah, he's only a year younger than me. Same actual event, but
Mm-hmm.
two completely different interpretations of that event. Yeah, mine I thought it was quite funny, you know, and I almost forgot about the whole thing until one day my brother told me about this most embarrassing event, and I was like, oh, same thing happened to me, but it was funny. Yeah,
Wow.
but the point is that when he comes to make a decision about something, that event is one of those things that he's going to take into consideration. Yeah,
Wow.
and that's going to shape the way he chooses, you know, the way he chooses in that, you know, when he comes to make that decision. You see what I'm saying?
That's a great analogy story.
Right. So what I told this guy who phoned me up was, every time you realize you're making a decision, yeah, make the opposite decision to what you'd normally make. Yeah,
Hey.
don't obviously. So don't go off and kill somebody because you know you to help somebody, so you've got to kill them, or yeah. But you know, within reason, when you make a decision, realize what you're going to make. Yeah, well, the decision you're going to make, and do the opposite.
Yeah, I'm
And
doing that with my shoulder pain. I'm like, I could think about it as a problem, but I'm going to think of it as, like you've suggested, as just an alert and leave it alone. And it actually goes away.
mm-hmm.
You know, it just diffuses. And I'm like, my shoulder doesn't hurt at all right now. And then if I think like hurting
Okay.
shoulder, it'll like come back or something. If I think like, oh, it's a problem or something, it'll speak up, if you will.
But you know, on a physical level, the one thing you can do for the shoulder there is get some urine, put some into the palm of your hand, and massage it into the shoulder. Pain should go in about 10 minutes.
Okay, so I remember you said something about like letting it dry or something like that.
Now you massage it in until it absorbs completely and goes
Okay.
dry. Yeah,
Well,
you
then,
don't leave it
gosh,
on, you don't
I'm
leave it on
gonna
your skin,
bathe in
otherwise
it.
it will. Although if you leave it on your skin, it will smell. Yeah, but if you massage it in until it absorbs, it won't smell at all.
Okay, that's right. That's what you said.
Yeah. So what happened to this guy? Yeah, he said he'd give it a try, and I didn't hear from him for you know a couple of months, and then he phoned me up, and he was in Amsterdam. Yeah, he'd like decided to he did exactly what I told him to do, and his life changed completely. He said, you know, I'm now living in Amsterdam. I've got all these new friends. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing, you know, it's been brilliant. You know.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, it was really amazing to hear him.
Well, thank you for all that, for doing that for everybody.
Sorry, say it.
Thank you for doing that for people and helping people.
Oh no, no. As I said, this knowledge isn't mine. You know, it's my duty to share it. So.
And well, it's probably spiraling right back to you, all this goodness too.
Well, well,
You're
I had
insane.
a period where it wasn't as I had a period where people were treating me like a public convenience or something,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
being rude, and yeah, one guy.
Because of the flat earth.
Well, no, it's like an example. One guy sent me a message, an email. Somebody I didn't know sent me an email, like just one line. What's your best advice for Lyme's? So I
What's my
wrote
best
back,
advice for what?
for Lyme's.
Liars?
Lyme's, as in Lyme's disease.
Oh, I have no idea.
Right. He just sent this message. What's your best advice for Lyme's? That was
Oh,
it.
oh,
You know?
sorry.
Yeah. So I wrote back, squeeze them into glass, put some gin and some ice in there, and be nice. And he said, well, you know, got annoyed. You know, how that's rude of you. And I said, well, it was a little rude of you just to say what's, you know, come up asking a stranger, you know, without even saying hello. I'm so and so. Can you help me? You know, I perhaps I was in a bit of a low period, but um, I had a period where people were just. I get all I can say is treating me like you know, I was Google or something, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
And you know, there's a few people who just take and not even bother saying thank you, or
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
you know, and it was wearing on me a little bit. So I did go through a little period of saying, what the hell am I doing? You know, what I've wasted the last 5 years of my life
Yeah.
doing this for. Yeah, so yeah, but it only lasted for a week or so, and
Oh, good.
yeah,
Okay, that's not that long at all.
no, it lasted for a week or so, and I got over it.
Okay.
So, but yes, so yeah, mostly it's all good, and you know,
I guess you got
happy
to be
doing
like
what I'm doing.
assertive in some sort of way. Like if somebody's coming to you and just being like treating you like a search bar, you have to be like no or something.
Well, yeah, sometimes I think it, but I don't do it. So,
Yeah. Oh, you
that's
take the
the
high road.
yeah,
I
that's the
want to
thing.
get into. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead. You ready?
Yeah,
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
you can say.
I'm sorry. Um, Kelly over here keeps asking what you think about slave mentality as opposed to a free mentality.
Okay, there's a wide range of ways of seeing that question.
Yeah, and I said, what do you mean? In what context? And she says, slave to pain, but more slave mentality of possibility, like what you're talking about, of victim mentality.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much what I've just said to you. Really, it's
Mm-hmm.
the mind is incredible. It's got complete and utter control of your whole body. Yeah,
Okay.
you could be racked with serious pain. Yeah, serious pain that has you screaming 24 hours a day. Yeah, but I could hypnotize you. Not that I will do, but I could hypnotize you and tell you, well, there's no pain,
Oh
and all
yeah,
of a
it
sudden that
works.
pain's gone. Yeah, and I can hypnotize you and tell you that now you feel very cold, and you'll feel very cold. You know, now the sofa is on fire, and then not only would you feel the heat, but your skin might even blister from it.
Wow.
Even though, yes, I'm saying the mind has complete control over your entire body. Yeah.
And is the mind thinking, this is kind of like going a little deep here, but is it thinking in the words like you're saying, like the English, or is it like when when you think that your body is in pain, it's like a symbol that you're, I don't know if I'm making any sense now. I'm going kind of a little deep.
Well, it is thinking in words. You think in words. Yeah. You've been trained to think in words. Yeah. You've also been trained to think negatively about yourself. Yeah. We've all been trained to think negatively, think the worst, see the body as failing, see the body as imperfect, doesn't work very well, breaking down. So our attitude to our body is a victim mentality. It
Okay.
is slave to the imperfection of the body. Yeah. Um, and doctors capitalize on it. We all know of the placebo effect. Yeah, we know that if you believe that something's going to heal you, it will heal you. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
even if it can't possibly heal you, it will. Yeah? But there's also the nocebo effect, which is if you think something's going to harm you, yeah, if you really believe it's going to harm you, it will harm you. If
Mm-hmm.
you believe you're going to die in 3 months, you're going to find some way of making it happen.
That's the law of attraction coming in. Yeah.
Yes, it's a nocebo effect. It's the same effect, but it just means it's working in both directions. Yeah, depending on what your thought pattern is. Yeah.
Wow.
So we've been indoctrinated into this mindset that is actually harmful to our bodies, and we program our own bodies to work against ourselves. Doctors do it as well. They will take great pains to describe processes that happen in your body. Yeah. And usually they tie it to figures and numbers and stuff. And they'll say,
Mm-hmm.
if your blood sugar goes above this number, then this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And if it goes below this number, this is going to happen. And if you believe it, then, you're studying your blood sugar every day. Yeah. If it goes above that number, you're going to manifest it. Even if you wouldn't normally, you're going to manifest it because that's what you believe.
So, is there a place for things like massage where my shoulder hurts, so I'm going to go get it massaged?
Well, yes, everything is a
Like
metaphor.
seeking healing for the ailments? Like, is it all really just changing the mind and then your shoulder will eventually relax? Or is there places for someone else going in there and rubbing your body for you?
Well, yes, there is. I mean, I just told you about using urine to
Yeah,
work on
yeah.
a physical ailment. Yeah. Well, yes, that will work. But if you're still suffering from
Thoughts.
if you're still you've still got that mindset.
Right. Hard. We're trapped.
I know. If you've still got that mindset that you lack support, then it's going to come back.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, you can deal with it on a physical level, but if unless you deal with the thought pattern and the emotional level, then it will keep coming back, and or it will hinder you from healing. So if you try and heal it on the physical level, yeah, if it's strong enough in you, this lack of support, then it's going to fight against the actual physical healing.
Awesome. Yeah, because I got a really good shoulder massage and then like it was doing great. And then I think I slipped, like you're saying, back into the thinking and it's like acting a little more, or maybe the support thing is, I haven't figured that totally out.
Mm.
Cool stuff. What you thinking now? How's your train of thought?
My train of thought on what?
I don't know, but let's go into the Bible. Can we just switch it up? You wanted to talk about it, right?
Yeah, but it's a big one, and
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Wrap it up, or how are you feeling?
well, how long we've been going for a couple of hours now? I think maybe.
Yeah, we went for an hour and 17 minutes. That's pretty cool.
Is that
I mean,
all? An hour and 17
I'm
minutes?
sorry, 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
You're like, what? Time warp. Do you think time exists? That's a yes or no question, right? A big yes or no question.
Yeah. So yeah, what's happened to me is that I've been on this journey for something like 15 years now. I was just investigating 9/11 when I started. I was just thinking I found something that didn't jive, and then I found out about what was going on 9/11, and then that led me into looking at the monetary system, and then it led me into the justice system, and then health, and then I've been jumping from one thing to another and getting deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole, and literally it's been like I'm looking at 9/11 and I'm filling in the puzzle pieces that show me the towers and show me directed energy weapons and planes and what have you, and I'm filling that piece, and there are bits that I've been filling in that have led away, and that's led to another part of the jigsaw puzzle, and I've been filling that in, and so on. And over the last few years, I've been able to see the bigger picture. And the flat Earth was, it was a huge part of the puzzle. It was like, finding the whole edges part of the puzzle. Like, I've done the edges. And I can see that. So once I filled in the flat Earth, and that led me for the third time to look at the Bible, because realizing the Bible is a flat Earth book. I actually started reading the Bible for the first time in my life. Just started thinking, okay, I'm going to look at this book, and I'm going to look at it as a literal, book of history. It means exactly what it says. So I started reading. I read from beginning to end. Was it twice or three times? I think it was three times actually. And the first thing that I noticed, the very first thing I noticed when I read it through three times, was that the New Testament doesn't fit. New Testament,
So I hear, yeah.
yeah, it literally doesn't fit. And the analogy that I give is like watching Lost. Yeah, you watch Lost for 6 seasons, Yeah, you get to understand what's going on. You get your own theories about what's really happening.
Yeah.
And then Series 7 comes along, the last series. Yeah, Series 7 comes along, and it's got a new writer. It's got a different director, and the writer and director don't know what the story's about really. So they've made up their own story, and they've introduced a new character, and then they're trying to twist their story to make it seem like the character was there all along. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
doesn't work. Yeah,
I didn't.
that's exactly how it felt.
Lost, right?
Sorry.
You did you say the show Lost?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was so whack. It was great at first, and I was like, "What happened?" That's so funny. I loved
Yeah,
it.
but you know how it felt.
Yeah,
At the
it
end,
was crazy.
at the end, they were just trying throwing all sorts of stuff to try and
They're like,
explain.
they got themselves in a trap by making it like too confusing, and then they're like, "Well, we don't really know where to go with this."
Exactly, and it was so obvious that they'd just thrown stuff together to make it seem like they, at the end they knew what they were talking about, and that's exactly how the New Testament felt to me. And so I went back after reading it through 3 times. I went back and I started actually researching it. So the very first thing that I started to see was that the Red Sea crossing actually happened. There's physical evidence of that actually happening.
That's when the sea parted.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a part in the Red Sea. The Red Sea is about a mile deep, everywhere except for one spot. Yeah, where there's a land bridge that goes right across. Yeah, and it's only maybe 50 feet deep under the surface. Yeah, and literally it's a place called in Arabic it's called no, I never do this. I always get the name right. Yeah, it's Nuwayba al Muzarina, which means the waters of Moses opening. Yeah, the place is actually called that. Yeah, and it's a spot where it was this beach area by the Red Sea, which was big enough to hold something like 1 million people or 3 million people or something. Yeah, and it's got this land bridge that goes all the way across. Yeah, the only place in the Red Sea that has it. And when this guy called Ron Wyatt took a mini sub, down there, he found human and horse skeletons, chariots and chariot wheels, and evidence that a whole load of chariots went down there and got everybody got drowned.
That's awesome.
He also found, two granite pillars either side of the spot, on either side of the sea. One of them was worn down, but the other one basically told them that was a pillar put up by King Solomon, as it says in the Bible. It says in the Bible, he put a column there on either side of the Red Sea, and it's there. It's still there to this day. So that was an actual historical event.
There we go. So do you suggest that the people read the New Testament and not the old one, and just scrap the old one?
Well, it depends. Yeah, if you're religious, if you're part of the Christian religion, then do what you like. The New Testament was the holy book that was added on to the what's known as the Book of Remembrance, as part of the Christian religion. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with the so-called Old Testament. Yeah. Do you love me? Oh, that's so nice. I lip read as well.
my sweetheart came home and I said, "I love you."
I guess that. I didn't think you loved me.
What's up, my man? Oh, there.
Hey there, right?
Hey, man. How's it going?
How you doing?
Take Jimmy out of here. Will you close the door, please?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what was I? Yeah. So yeah. There's it's the holy book of the of Christianity. Yeah. The Israelites didn't have a religion. They weren't into Judaism. That didn't exist. There was no religion there. It was a way of life. It wasn't a religion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're into religion, then the Christian religion, then the New Testament is your book. Have at it. Enjoy. But it's got nothing to do with the Most High I Am of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yeah, the New Testament introduces a new deity, somebody they call Jesus. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you're into that, great. But if you're a follower of the Most High, then it's not your book.
Interesting. I'm just looking to read it, but I try to read the Bible from the beginning, and it's just so weird, and I can't get through it. Somebody
Yeah,
said read. Somebody said like read the Book of Enoch or something first.
Well, I was actually coming to that actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was going to suggest if you really want to understand what's going on, you read Genesis through, then you read the Book of Enoch, yeah, and then read Genesis again, because in Genesis there's lots of stuff going on, and most of it is like confusing, doesn't make any sense. There's like a line here and there that just mind-blowing line, like there were giants on the earth in those days,
Mm-hmm.
and the sons of God came down and had sex with the daughters of man, and gave birth to these giants. Well, there's also these sort of interpretations of that event that, again, when you listen to what the pastors and the priests say about it, don't make any sense.
Mm.
But when you look in the Book of Enoch, it tells you what they mean. Yeah, it's like Genesis. Whoever wrote Genesis, Moses wrote Genesis, but Moses writes from one perspective, and Enoch writes from another perspective, so you get the full story. Yeah. So a good example is that it says, I think it says something like, "My spirit shall not always strive with man, for his days shall be 120 years." Now, most priests and pastors say, well, that means that man's lifespan has been capped at 120 years.
Uh-huh.
Well, no. If you go into the Book of Enoch, it says that people were given 120 years to repent, otherwise there'll be a flood. Yeah, and Moses and his grandfather Methuselah went out and preached for 120 years to tell people, repent, because there's going to be a flood coming otherwise. And that's it. It's got nothing to do with capping lifespans, but it's an example of them giving you an interpretation which isn't true. Yeah. So then you misunderstand what's going on, because you've got your heads full of all these Christian interpretations. I hope that makes sense.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah. So that's the problem, because most people have grown up in a Christian environment, and your head is full of these Christian interpretations of the Book of Remembrance, and most of these Christian interpretations are interpreted in favor of this Jesus character. So they say there's a whole load. Some say 400, some say 300, whatever. Prophecies in the Old Testament about this Jesus character. But when you look at them in context, they don't exist. They're all talking about somebody else, or they're talking about an event that happened right there and then, and has no relation to somebody who comes along hundreds of years in the future. And then when you break it down and present it to the Christian, he'll then come up with some other thing like, oh, it's a dual prophecy. Oh, well, where did that come from? A minute ago you said it was a literal prophecy. So what I'm saying, it's You might not hear me now. It suddenly started raining. I don't know if you can hear that.
Did I hear it?
Maybe not. It's really loud here for a second.
No, I didn't hear
When
it.
it rains here, it rains really, really hard for like a minute or 30
Oh.
seconds, and it stops like this. Can you hear that? So yeah, you might not hear me. So it rains really, really hard for a few seconds or a
You're
minute or
good on the
so,
audio, in my opinion.
and then it stops, and then the sun comes out, and it's dry in a few minutes. You know.
Oh,
So,
how
anyway,
sweet. I love the Caribbean. You're on my
yeah.
time
So
zone, right?
sorry.
You're on my time zone, right?
Yes, I'm an hour behind you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the difficulty you get is because if you've grown up in a Christian environment and you've got a whole set of Christian interpretations, and most of them are rubbish anyway. And so when you try and read the Old Testament through the lens of these Christian interpretations, none of it makes sense.
Sorry, I was having a little trouble over here. So, this has been awesome. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. I think I'm gonna close up this wonderful chat we've had.
Yeah, we've gone on for a little while, haven't we?
It's so great. So I kind of wanted to just read through my notes, so just not too crazy, but with alternative health, we have to stop poisoning ourselves. We need to get on mainly a juicy fruit diet and stay away from the fruits that have less water in them. Try to choose ones with a lot of water. Urine therapy, everybody needs to research that for sure and jump on the wagon. I think I'm gonna go for it. I'm just gonna dive in because I'm done feeling sick.
Mm.
I'm not crazy too sick, but I just want to be the ultimate body that we're created to be, and I will. Fasting
Well,
2 days out of the week, choose 2 days here and there.
mhm.
Change the way you think, and because every disease starts with a thought pattern. And I wrote down, if you think something negative, think the exact opposite to combat that thought.
Mhm.
Let's see what we said about language. What we talked about with the language was that the cops and the judges and the lawyers and stuff, they use legalese language. And so we need to know what we're agreeing to and what if we get into trouble, pretty much. Everybody needs to research Paleo Hebrew, and one of the words that we all know, abracadabra, is Paleo Hebrew word, and that means what again?
I create that which I speak.
I create that which I speak. That's seems like a really powerful one.
Well, it is. It's literally underlining underlining what you're doing. If you say, "I want this to happen," abracadabra.
Yeah,
It's
cool.
literally reinforcing it. That's why it's the magic word.
Yeah, that's oh, this is great. And then our subconscious works. Well, our subconscious doesn't really work backwards necessarily. Our subconscious works forwards. It's what we're doing that's backwards, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it works. It works the opposite way that our conscious minds have been forced into working.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's happened. We've been forced to be a round peg in a square hole. Yeah.
So what's what is your advice on how to address that working backwards thing in everyday life? Like, what are some tricks or tips that we can do to think along with the subconscious from right to left?
I don't know if there's any particular tricks you can use.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can tell you that some proof that this is how it works. Have you ever heard of speed reading?
Yeah, I tried it once. I tried it a
Right.
couple times. It
Well,
works all right.
one of the things you do during speed reading is once you've gone through the book, really quickly, scan the pages, you turn the book turn to the back page, turn the book upside down, and then scan the pages backwards.
Okay.
Yeah, that's because your subconscious reads backwards better than it reads forwards. As I said,
And upside down?
yes.
And
So
you're reading, like, when you turn it upside down, are you reading like from the bottom up so that you're or are you reading down so that you're reading?
it doesn't particularly matter that way, but the point is you've got the book backwards and upside down, and you're going from the back page, and you just scan the pages.
Okay.
Right? You don't have to try and read the pages. You just scan the page. Yeah. Your subconscious is pulling in and reading it in a way that it feels even more comfortable than the way you've been cajoled into reading.
Cool. Yeah? That's a good trick.
Right, but that's the point. That's how you can speed read the whole book very quickly. Here's another one. Perhaps you've seen the artists, the magicians and artists who they're painting something and you can't tell what they're painting.
Yeah.
And then at the end they flip it upside down and it's a picture of Elvis or something.
Oh yeah,
it's a really good one.
that's cool.
Yeah. Well, again, this is the thing. You're using the artist or magician is using his subconscious to do the painting. Yeah, he's doing it upside down. Yeah. Now, consciously, you can't think upside down. You can't paint upside down because you'll be always thinking about, okay, how's that going to look upside down? If you just paint upside down, you don't think about it. You just say, okay, I'm going to paint Elvis. I'm going to paint it upside down. And you just let your subconscious go. You'll paint a perfect picture of Elvis. Yeah, and flip it upside down, and there it is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's getting the programmed conscious mind out of the way and letting your subconscious work.
And isn't it also true that our eyes see it upside down and then our brains translate it, flips it over?
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. That's like the whole thing we're talking about.
Yeah, but what even more mind-blowing than that idea is the idea that you're experiencing your whole life secondhand.
You mean it's not
the idea?
live?
Okay. No, it's not. Okay. Imagine you're standing in front of a tree, yeah, and you can look at the tree and you can see the color of the bark and the color of the leaves. Yeah, you can reach out and touch it and you can feel the texture of the bark. You can hear the wind rustling through the leaves. You can smell its fragrance. Yeah. The point is that when the light is reflected off the tree and hits the back of your eyes, it's being turned into electrical signals, and those electrical signals are going to a dark place in the back of your skull. Yeah, along with all the electrical signals from your nose, your skin, your ears, and all that. It's all being turned into a stream of electrical signals, and your brain is making up what it thinks a tree is. Yeah, it's not necessary. It's not a tree. You don't know what you're standing in front of. Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means that if I was to step into your consciousness and see out of your eyes, I probably wouldn't know what I was looking at.
Whoa.
Because everything in your world is something your brain has made up.
Wow.
And it's not necessarily your picture of your world is not necessarily my picture of my world. because we're all viewing it secondhand.
Wow.
Yeah, weird stuff.
Deep.
I start off in a book with that, yeah, because you know, you've got to understand that you know, you and this world aren't the way you think it is, and if you know that you know, the world works differently, it's very powerful knowledge if you start applying it.
What's powerful knowledge if you start applying it?
You know, knowing how the world works and knowing how your body actually works. If you know how it works, yeah, and you start applying that knowledge, right, then you'll start having powerful effects happen in your world, in your life.
I'm really excited. I can't wait to do this and then help others do this and awaken the entire world so that everyone can start feeling great like we're supposed to.
Well, plug again. It's all in here. It's all in here.
I'm gonna get your book as soon as we get off the internet, or whatever. As soon as I get off this chat, I'm gonna go order that. I can't wait to read it. Thank you for writing that book too.
Again,
Conscious too stuff in there.
sorry.
In your book, you talk about the subconscious.
Yes.
Nice.
Again, I start with some quantum physics and make it a bit easier for
There
people
you
to
go.
understand.
Well, I studied
But
hypnosis, so I know about the subconscious, but not. I
right.
mean, there's always more to know. But yeah, I'm really interested in that.
But I don't make it sort of all dry and scientific because you know, I wrote the book for ordinary people. So
Yeah.
so while I go into stuff, you know, quantum physics and stuff, you know, I make it kind of simplified, and I make it a bit funny as well.
So everybody, let's show your book again, just in case there's different people chiming in.
Okay, it's the Human Body Owner's Workshop Manual. I don't know if you can see that. I know it's got a globe on it. Don't kill me for that. Yeah. And it's probably the only book that you'll find a picture of a beaver's bottom in it. Yeah.
What is that?
There's a picture of a beaver's bottom.
Oh my gosh, you're the one that posted about that.
Oh yeah, that's
so
right.
You've known
yeah.
that for a while.
Oh yeah. Again, I was researching stuff and I was finding out some incredible things. So.
Wow. Tell people what the beaver's butt is, just as our closing.
Okay. Well, you believe it or not, right? If you get any processed foods like ice cream that has natural vanilla flavor or a natural strawberry flavor, yeah, it's most likely to be a substance called castoreum, which is the anal secretions of a beaver. And I want to know who was the first person to suck a beaver's bum and say, "Oh, that tastes of strawberries."
They're like, "That's great. We need to exploit this poor animal for its delicious butt flavor." Oh man, you're funny. All right, well, I think I'm gonna wrap it up and say goodnight and say thank you, many blessings to you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm happy to have been able to come on and share this time with you.
And get in the ocean for me.
Well, that's tomorrow. I'm going to be down on the beach. I'm doing my Sabbath Bible study on the beach.
How lovely. I'll be thinking of you.
Thank you. Nice of you.
Was there anything else you want to say?
Not really. I think you know, covered everything well, some of what we wanted to cover today, but
yeah, it was awesome. We got on all the little points. Well, thank you guys in the chat. Everybody's awesome. Aaron, my friend Aaron says that you are a hero and that they love you so much. So you are a hero.
No, I'm just Dave from Basildon. I'm nobody special.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna hit the stop live button and then we'll chat.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you next Friday. I got Joey Rocha on next Friday. So we'll see you then at 9 p.m. Friday, live with Lula. Bye. All right. You still there?